We are live on the SideQuest Live, your weekly journey into the wonderful world of video games and other video game stuff. You're joined by a gaggle of gamers with a capital G on the show tonight.
That is the meanest thing anyone has ever said to me.
Is this literally just because you're trying to prep for your gigs this weekend?
I think so. Yeah, that's Taylor Bliss, ladies and gentlemen. Taylor Bliss, right over here. Put your hands together for the bride to be, the _double_J. And I will be your MC for the evening, Dolly Demovsky. Please feel free to come to me with your song requests. Yeah, I got a DJ gig. I got 2 DJ gigs this weekend.
You're not gonna use your DJ name for the podcast?
I should no. I've actually changed my to just Dolly, DJ Dolly. You know, no longer have anything fancy. No more cool rats, no more nothing. It's just Dolly. Yeah, I think once I passed like 30 something, it was like, you know what, enough with the funny names. But hey, it's Friday night. It's gonna be a good show. I have a feeling lots of fun stuff is gonna be taking place. There's a bunch of news, and we're gonna lead off with some of the news. And get rocking. Yeah. I think the biggest news, and I think it went live today. I'm going to hop on over to sidequesting.com. It is a website. The news today is that I know we're all getting ready for whatever E3 is going to be. And Sony is as well, by announcing a state of play, a state of play. You know, I'm actually gonna let me switch over to Sony's actual page here. So June 2nd, they're going to be hosting their state of play, about a half hour, focusing mostly on new game reveals, sneak peeks, and updates. Nearly 30 minutes, trailers, announcements. We've been waiting for something new from Sony. They've had an indie thing. They've had folks like strictly focused stuff on like Horizon, I think Gran Turismo. This is the first one. They had a third-party one a little while back as well. Well, guess what? This is also a third-party one.
Yeah. This one is special because this is going to be sort of their first like legit like salvo at the PSVR 2 software.
Yeah, they mentioned the PSVR 2. Jim Ryan did mention, I think they had their investor Q&A stuff there, which we'll talk about in a second here. But he had mentioned that they got 20 first-party projects going on for the PSVR 2. A lot of folks hope it's more Astrobot, like the 18th Astrobot game or whatever that is. But
let's milk that IP to death.
IP
to death.
I do like in this
Sly
blog,
Cooper that bad boy.
Yeah, I do like in this blog that most of the entry revolves around how the stream may contain licensed music, so VOD it at your own risk. That's like the majority of this entry.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what are there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming that we think is coming to PlayStation, to this show. I think we're actually going to do a few predictions maybe after we get through this new stuff, get through some of those predictions. But obviously Final Fantasy 16, they have to talk about it. Oh,
I mean, do they talk about it now or do they talk about it?
We can't hear JJ apparently. Can you hear us, JJ?
Okay, things broke for a second, but it's fine. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Taylor.
I was going to say, I mean, do they talk about Final Fantasy 16 now, or do they do it at what is rumored to be their next showcase, their post E3 showcase?
What's interesting is Jeff Grubb, our good friend. Hi, Jeff Grubb, former
friend of the show, Jeff Grubb.
Always watching catching the show every Friday night. We always appreciate that.
The hot scoops, while he's picking up after dog poo or something. Obviously Square Enix did say it. They're gonna drop. There's gonna be a new trailer coming. Very shortly here during spring, whatever they said. And here we are, very shortly. It is very shortly, and this kind of falls into that time frame. I think I don't think you could push a Final Fantasy reveal later in the year because even Jeff said that, hey, we're going to be there. Sony might do something in like August or September, and they did do one in September of last year. They had where they showed, I think, more Gran Turismo stuff. They actually fully announced Ragnarok as the title for God of War. They had that teaser trailer. And you can't keep putting off Final Fantasy 16 because haven't seen anything since that debut trailer in 2020. Correct? So it's been 2 years. Correct. So I feel like this has to be it. And then also, I mean, Forspoken. I guess that game's still coming out this year, right? I think that's.
I think it got pushed at some point to somewhere.
I thought it did, yeah.
Because it was supposed to be April, right? And then they pushed it to the fall.
It's currently set for October.
Okay, so there you go. So Forspoken
again, October. I could, but that's a, oh no, that's a Square Enix game. So yeah,
unless Square Enix does their own E3-ish showcase, which they might because they do have a lot of products coming in this year. Yeah. But yeah, it's
but they're also dumping half of their company. So
correct. Now there were a lot of rumors about Final Fantasy VII, the second part of that potentially being shown this year because it is. I think this year's Final Fantasy VII's 30th anniversary or 25th anniversary or something crazy like that. 25th anniversary, yeah. So that is probably something as well. I mean, that's a lot of Square Enix stuff that's going to be discussed. I mean, that if you're looking at 3-minute trailers, that's maybe 10 projects that are going to be shown this year on this show, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, somewhere around there. And they can't all be big. If we're going to see the VR stuff, I don't know. It's going to be a weird mix.
I genuinely don't expect anything super significant, like in that realm. Like Grub said, Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if most of it was just weird VR shit. Here's a Gran Turismo update that will bring PSVR 2 support or something. Yeah.
Here's the Horizon, right? They have the Horizon VR game they talked about. Here's another Final Fantasy VR game that you guys definitely wanted to play again.
A sequel to the fishing game that they did.
Sequel to the fishing game.
JJ, you're deflating any expectations that I could have possibly had about this showcase. I'm not gonna lie.
That's kind of a good thing, though, when you think about it, because the fewer expectations you have going in, you can only be surprised.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe the big thing will be like Dead Space, and you'll be like, I guess.
Ooh, yeah. You know what? There could very well be something to that, but who knows? Anyways, it's happening next week, so maybe they'll have something else afterwards, but I'm not sure. I don't know what the timing is going to be for Sony stuff. But moving on from that, Sony did have some other news that popped up related to their property. They did mention the discussion around some of the stuff that Jim Ryan was saying. I mean, there's a lot we can talk about from Sony, like a lot of Sony stuff that popped up. But they're looking to go to 12. Was it like 12 live service games from Bungie?
From Bungie, whether it's we don't know the exact extent. Whether it's at Bungie's in an advisory role directly from Bungie, I don't think that's possible, or anybody think that's possible. But either way, I found it to be a weird statement. Personally, to state that because Bungie's always only been a one IP studio. It rocked Halo until they no longer were able to, and then they've rocked Destiny since. That's it. I mean, they've always just one IP at a time. So yes, we know that they have like 2 other things in the pipeline. But then to jump to say they're going to help support 12 different new games over the next 3 years, it just seems astronomical.
I do think
But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's going to be well, here's a couple ways that this could go by. I think it could be part of it could just be they're overseeing how what they're hey, how's it going to play then? They're kind of going to help and oversee some of the live service stuff that Sony has in the pipeline, or they could be just throwing out concepts out there to help them get situated, or
I mean, actually, no, that's another angle that I didn't really consider, which is they just highly value the Bungie name in trying to attract, especially a Western audience, to try and drum up hype, and that's the main usage. And it could be anywhere in between is what their involvement is.
The George R. R. Martin of
a little bit
Elden Ring. It could really just be them saying, well, you want to set this up, you want to do it like this, you want to focus on this, and we'll be hovering in the background, give us a call if you need any more info, Polyphony Digital, for the actual Gran Turismo online thing, but your Jack and Daxter online program. But it could also be Sony
Jack and Daxter Battle Royale. It's coming.
See, there you go. No, but they could also be growing Bungie as a developer, as a studio.
Yeah, I mean, you would assume with the pickup into Sony that's part of the agreement, or definitely, part of the expectation.
Definitely. So it's interesting from that standpoint. Sony also, they also did say that they're going to be going 50-50 over the next few years with new IP and old IP, which I think that's actually good, because we do want to see new. Yeah, we love God of War. We love Horizon. We love Jack and Daxter. We love Ratchet and Clank. We love Sackboy. But give us something new. Give us new properties. So that's good. They're also going to be shifting a lot of their work to PC and mobile. They actually see a lot of stuff there. Mobile was really interesting to me because Sony had they actually had a few mobile games. Remember, they actually had it was a Crash Bandicoot game, and they had an Uncharted game. And they just abandoned all that stuff.
And even back in the PSP and Vita era, where they had the Sony PlayStation Mobile experience thing, or they're really leaning into that stuff. They had their own phone at one point.
Agreed. Now again, it's weird because they're obviously seeing a lot of money.
Sony still does, by the way.
They do still.
They always release one phone every other generation, extremely exorbitantly priced, but with very, very good cameras. It's just kind of a thing that they. I know. It's not an initiative. Yeah, it's not an initiative tied together anymore. Yes, I agree.
But the PC stuff is really interesting. They're definitely seeing a lot of money rolling in from Steam and from other, getting their games out there. I still don't think that they're going to be launching day and date with console and PC, but I do feel like they've now realized that we can. It won't be far behind. We shouldn't have our PC releases be far behind for after our console launches, because there's a lot of money there, a lot of money sitting there. A lot of folks who don't have PlayStation 5s right now are, because you can't get them, want to have want to have Ghost of Tsushima, want to have Uncharted collection, and they want to have Death Stranding, but they can't get them in the highest quality. So it's smart. I'm curious to see how they actually employ it, but I think that's good news for Sony, is to understand that aspect. And I still am more and more thinking, the work that went into MLB The Show and how popular MLB The Show has been, which, by the way, is still really funny. There are still more. There will be more exclusives, more big exclusive launching on Xbox this year from Sony than there are from Microsoft, which is that's kind of the running joke. But
yeah,
who knows? But I think it behooves Sony to take a look at bringing, maybe Death Stranding could come to Xbox. I think that could be a very smart decision on their part. I think Kojima's already he got a foot over there too. But
I mean, what's nutty is that your exclusive timing has been done. It's been made. again, it goes back to the idea of, and I'll say it since Zach's not here, about the new user attrition and trying to pick them. It's like nobody's staying on PlayStation because Death Stranding was released on PS4. Right.
Yeah.
So like, if you can push units on Xbox, do it. Why not? I mean, I guess it's the perception, and you can make the argument for Halo the other way. But
this is a good point. What do you think about Sony launching or promoting the PSVR 2 so early with limited availability install base for PS5?
I think they have to do it as early as they can, and they need to release it as early as they can, because the PSVR 1 hit such a small audience that you need to cater to whatever audience you can. The vacuum and desperation for hardware attachment only plays to the PSVR's favor right now.
You think so? Okay.
I think so. I mean, people are looking for utility and stuff to do with it. We were watching people still buy, secondhand PS5s and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I think that it will. I don't know if it'll break the attach rate that PSVR 1 did, but
I think it might. In this case,
I think it will. I have hope or faith that it will, just because there is so much enthusiasm behind the PS5 right now.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. I really hope that there aren't I hope it's just one sort of situation with the PSVR, because it had so many weird revisions and enhancements and it's like in order to really enjoy it, you needed a PlayStation 4 Pro, and an enhancement came out later,
the correct camera, exactly,
and then they put out the next one with the head with the earbuds in it, and then the breaker box was different on the second one, so you can use HDR the same time that you have it plugged in, which you couldn't with the original release. It's like please just have it. It came out at such an awkward time for the history of PlayStation 4, this weird middle ground that it just hurt everything about it.
What's interesting is that I'm kind of agreeing with you, Taylor, from one aspect, and then the other aspect, I don't know how it'll factor in. One, people who have PS5s right now are the hardcore PlayStation nuts who are willing to spend $1,500, $800, $1,500 on a console. They're the ones that and now they want to justify this big purchase that they that they made. PS4 came at a time where there was no chip shortage. You could, a month or so after the PS4 and the Xbox One launched, those consoles launched, you could go to stores and buy them. And or after Christmas, after the New Year, they were everywhere, right? Not the case right now with this current set of consoles, because again, chip shortage, the limited availability is really pushing folks to buy one as soon as it's what happened with the Wii, right? The only reason the Wii was so popular that Nintendo underestimated how much they had to build, they had to manufacture. So people would buy them right away and flip them. You're buying this $250 device and flipping it for $500, $600, or just buying it flat out because it's a golden egg. It's a golden goose that's kind of sitting out there, a unicorn. So I think, people who have the PS5 are so hardcore right now, but I'm worried that with this chip shortage, how many of the PSVR 2s will they actually be able to make? Right.
I mean,
that to me is but
it depends on what it needs in the hardware.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe we'll find out some of those details. Probably not.
If it's if it's functionally just like the PlayStation version of a Quest 2, I can't imagine it being that much of a problem getting them in the store shelves.
And I've noted before, I still think that Sony should have a wireless headset. I think that would be a killer app. But then it becomes harder to justify the PS5 because very true.
Because because the wireless Quest doesn't have a it's not like it's working wirelessly off a computer. It's completely independent.
Well, actually,
So-
it does
Agreed.
work
Yeah.
wirelessly. It actually does work wirelessly off computer now.
If you have, yeah,
Yeah, now it
it's
does.
meant
But
to
Got-
be.
with AirLink, yeah. But
Yeah,
like,
it's
yeah,
meant to
but
be
no.
kept.
In order to do a console-less VR headset, you're going to have to create effectively a new SKU of
Correct.
PlayStation
Oh, yeah.
product. You're
Oh, yeah.
gonna
Yep.
it's your new Vita. It's like it's also the VR headset, not and the VR headset.
Yes, yeah, and right now Sony's in a really weird place where, I think you could have taken the PS4 Pro level stuff and dumped it into taken the current PSVR, made it self-sufficient, made it inside out with tracking and everything, and then had your device. But then it's a brand new device. It's already behind the PS5 in terms of generation. So, anyways,
It definitely better be cameraless, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Quest
yeah.
2 is.
Correct. I will say this one more detail. Sony did mention that, hey, there is Tom Holland as Kratos. I was right. No, just kidding. They detailed a little bit more info. They mentioned that there is a Horizon show. Good old David Gibson. Hi, David. I know you watch the show as well. You, Jeff Keighley, Jeff Grubb, Kojima, and Reggie all sit around in a room. I know you guys are watching us all together at the same time, drinking beers, whatever beer. Maybe it's a Yingling, who knows? But anyway, so Sony did. Jim Ryan's in the back serving you guys. Sony also announced that David said there's a Horizon show now has been announced. We knew there's a God of War show. We already know there's like Twisted Metal. Sony's got their stuff all over the place.
the Twisted Metal show is still fucking hilarious.
It's still going, and they just announced. I forget who they just announced as a Rosie Perez or someone as an actor. I don't know. Somebody. Anyways, the Horizon Zero Dawn, the Horizon series is coming to Netflix, which I think is
makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense in terms of a program. Like even if you're not like adapting the main story, just like the universe is really kind of well thought out enough to really.
It really is, and it's funny because Last of Us is launching next year, 2023, on HBO. Post-apocalyptic with zombies. This is post-apocalyptic with robots. Gran Turismo is post-apocalyptic with Maximum Overdrive. Twisted Metal. No, no. I think it's a cool to see them really push the IP.
I loved the headline where it was like Sony wanted Neil Blomkamp to direct Gran Turismo. It's like, yeah, I'm sure Sony probably also wanted Steven Spielberg to direct fucking stuff. Like, we all want something, but it's a matter of what even. I guess like. Is Gran Turismo just gonna be like the Need for Speed movie where it's just like it's got cars?
Yeah, maybe pick up the slack of Fast and Furious is gone, but
it would be cool if they just sort of expanded out the old idea that they had, because remember they used to have that GT TV stuff in like the game where it had like the Gran Turismo reality show thing going on where like
I think that should be I totally think that should be the way to take this, is to take the GTTV stuff, sorry, where they had sort of the races with people who wanted to be live, live racing. I think Playland says the three guys from Top Gear. It might end up being something like that. I don't want an action show. If they
said we want Neil Blomkamp to direct our Gran Turismo movie, why would you want Neil Blomkamp if you're not making something fucking ridiculous? Like,
right, exactly.
It's not like he makes. This is the guy that made Chappie. You think
I want.
It's a fucking Transformers movie.
There you go. I want a Top Gear style reality series for Gran Turismo where you're getting not celebrity drivers, but you're getting actual people who want to be race car drivers or some type of sports car driver or a stunt driver. Have them race. This week we're going to have you race a couple Lamborghinis down tracks. Next week we're going to have you do rally car racing with pickup trucks. And next week you're going to have you do NASCAR. Next, really, we're going to do motorcycles. Please sign this waiver so if you die in any of these. But I think that could be kind of a cool aspect. You want to focus on the lifestyle aspect. That's what Gran Turismo really is. It's about lifestyle and vehicle ownership and vehicle history. And JJ, you were telling us in the previous when you're playing Gran Turismo, GT7 is the whole kind of lifestyle aspect of it. And that really feels like what the series is about. And I don't want an action movie. I want a series about cars, about, show me folks racing it one week. Show me
when you, I mean, given what Gran Turismo
designing
is,
them one week. Yeah, it can be cool.
The first time you boot up any Gran Turismo game, you get an unskippable 15-minute history of cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Cinematic. That's what the game is.
Yeah,
that should be what these fucking movie or show or whatever they're doing is.
I wish you lads the best of luck in getting your desires on that show, because I don't even know what to expect on anything that's going to come out of this shit.
No idea. But I mean, at the same time, it's good for Sony to really be pushing their IP.
It's Sony. They're a movie studio.
Exactly.
No. Here's the thing, JJ, and you know this. I know that you know this. Sony has a movie studio, and it's not the same thing. And I know that you know this.
I know.
And that's the problem, is that despite the fact that Sony has a company that is a movie studio and a production company and all this other shit, it's still we're still sitting here being like, I don't know, is it going to be good? Maybe not.
I saw Morbius. I know what the fuck's going on.
It's Morbin time. Well, let's move on. I think we can get knee deep in the weeds here with the rest of the news. It's definitely, things are building up. There's been a lot of stuff sort of floating around, but there's definitely stuff building up now to the next couple of weeks, which obviously there's no E3 happening, but there kind of is in a weird way, because the next 2-3 weeks really is E3 2022 is dead. There is actually I rounded up all the events that are happening. Actually, Gundam Fest was yesterday or so.
Hell yeah.
So there was actually...
Can't believe I missed it.
Yeah, there actually was some stuff happening. Star Wars Celebration's happening. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention that. Star Wars Celebration is happening. Let me go into the details of something that happened during Star Wars Celebration.
Jon Favreau action figure. Yeah.
Jon Favreau. No. Star Wars. Let me go into theater mode. Jedi Survivor has officially been announced. This, remember, good old, again, friend of the show, Jeff Grubb talked about this. I'm guaranteeing, by the way, that Disney or someone will take us down. This is... it's the next Jedi, whatever. What's the Fallen
Order?
Fallen Order Part.
The series is Star Wars Jedi.
Star Wars Jedi.
And this is the second one.
The second one. It's coming. Cool. I'm glad. This is actually my first time watching this trailer. I haven't even watched the Obi-Wan show yet. I've been so freaking busy, but I know everybody else in the world has. But I like the first Fallen Order. I didn't play enough of it, only because it kind of fell at a time where there was a lot of stuff coming out 3 years ago.
Beat it twice. So
beat it twice.
I'm all in.
I think I own it on like 15 platforms from whatever reason, but this picks up afterwards. There's Sephiroth right there if you want to get into it. Or that's what's the guy's name from Mad Max? Joe, whatever.
Immortum Joe.
Immortum Joe. Anyways, the Jedi Survivor. That's your first. Your official
if you look
teaser.
If you look close, it looks a lot like Raiden.
Yeah, it kind of does. You're right. It kind of does. All right, let's get it. There he is, right there. Announced and coming this year, so that's cool. I think it's cool news.
I hope
like it.
Part of me hopes that it's just like the same amount of game, because Fallen Order was a short, very well polished little Star Wars action game, and I just don't need it to get bigger. I really don't. I think it benefits from having a
Do you think this will be coming to the last gen consoles, or is this going to be fully next gen?
Probably last gen.
Probably last gen.
Yeah. I doubt it's going to be built off of like anything drastically different than the previous game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to start to get to the point where new titles will just get lower and lower FPS expectations on last gen consoles. And until they can no longer hold like solid 60 1080p or solid 30 1080p, they'll keep backwards porting them until 30 FPS is no longer guaranteed. Is my estimation. For games like this, of course. Obviously, we're going to still see a lot of first party stuff that's not going to hit both.
Speaking of nothing related to that at all, here is one last little bit of news that a beautiful segue kind of broke this morning as well. Yesterday / this morning is that remember that Xbox stick that we were just talking about? And I was all hyped up. This is gonna be the thing, man. It's gonna show up with the stick. You're gonna have your controller with it. You're gonna have like a month of Xbox Game Pass, and then it'll just be money raining down from. Hey, it's not happening. Keystone, codename Keystone, has been it's gone back to the drawing board, which is a big bummer, I think. So this was the Microsoft announced they're basically working on a cloud streaming device. This was last year during this time frame. So they're working on that thing. I had actually assumed that maybe it would come out last year, but it has not. It is apparently not. Taylor, you mentioned that it may not even. I guess they were developing a sort of puck thing instead of a.
Yeah, I mean that's what the article that I read had suggested, that it was
Windows Central one.
Something similar to a small form factor console like device, which I don't know about that. Yeah. In my opinion, it's not the messaging to get that device sold in retail stores where because it's not an Apple TV, right? And Xbox is a company that makes video games and video game consoles. So when you're trying to sell a hardware device that looks like a really small console, buyers in a store are going to think that it's a small console. And so I look at and hear that kind of thing, and I get Wii U like horror flashbacks about trying to nail down the messaging for something that looks like your other consoles is really tough. So I don't know.
What's real interesting, and I completely agree with you. For me, this is something that, and I think the iteration part is actually kind of smart, right? This is just a fan render, by the way, from 4chan.
That's a fan render,
from 4chan. Yeah. Why would you go to
of all places?
Of all places. Literally, anybody could have. You could have done this in Microsoft Paint. Anyways, but for me, a streaming device needs to be effortlessly simple. I'm staring at my Roku device over here, right? The Roku is essentially this puck because it has there are other versions of the Roku, but the ones that I have here in my home, which are the newer ones, it's got an HDMI out, it's got a power out, and it kind of sits taped to the bottom of my TV on both my sets here. I got it for like $29.99, $24.99, whatever it was. But you think about what a device like this needs. It needs. See, they're showing an Ethernet port, which I don't think you need an Ethernet port. I think you really need to go.
I think so. So here's the thing. If you've ever had a Chromecast Ultra.
Oh yeah.
So. Well, the other thing I'm going to point out is that the way that Chromecast does it with the Chromecast Ultra is that there is a Ethernet port on it on the AC adapter.
Okay. All right.
So it has the regular USB power that runs up, and it still plugs into the back of the TV through HDMI like the normal dongles do, like the Fire Stick and stuff like that. And it works wirelessly. But then it also has the Ethernet port at the base. So if you want to push it in terms of fidelity and stuff like that, you connect it through Ethernet on the bottom.
Yes.
So I think
that's one way to get. I should say that's a way to get around that. Yes, correct.
Yeah, because you also, as Microsoft, you also want to be able to put on the spec sheet that it can do X, Y, and Z, and you can't guarantee and write down that it's capable of X, Y, and Z. Unless you put an Ethernet port on it.
Unless you go the Roku route where you're releasing a couple versions of this, where you got the $24.99 Xbox streaming stick, which you can completely do, and it is why again that's what my Roku's and my our Amazon Fire Stick. There is no Ethernet port. It is literally just hook up to Wi-Fi and go. Granted, it's not always the best, but we're watching movies. We're not really playing games on it.
Games is just a different
sell
beast.
An ultra version, and then sell an ultra version that has an Ethernet port built in, or the special plug or whatever. I think you can sell a couple versions of this thing, and go for it. But again, maybe that's part of the process of what Xbox is trying to figure out. How do you sell this to consumers? Because you want to sell just one device that has the Ethernet port, that has the USB-C charger in there, because you need something to hook up to your controller, right? You got to update the firmware of the controller. Do you have a HDMI out, and then you need a power out? How big does this device? Is it something that's like, the size of a gum pack, or is it like a cigarette pack for people that remember what cigarettes were?
I mean, like, I think we know that like the dream for this is you package it with a controller.
Yes.
And it like, even something like it snaps into the controller for storage, or like that old game stick. Remember that? Remember the game stick?
Yeah.
That's the dream for the sort of
that is
wireless
totally the
bullshit,
dream,
right?
And to Playland, good old Playland mentions, if they actually do it, it'll be just one version, like the Google Chromecast or the Apple TV. You don't want to go that route because
you go to the Stadia route. Yeah,
you go you go the Stadia route. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to go the Apple TV route because there's already plenty of Apple TVs out there, and I am not going to be losing an HDMI port on my TV for my Apple TV so I could replace it with the Xbox, because HDMI ports, we were just talking about this in the Discord, got an awesome height 55-inch 4K Hisense TV for like $200 on Black Friday a year and a half ago, whatever it was. It's only got two HDMI ports on there. One is the PS5, and then one is the splitter that has the Switch and the Apple TV and the Xbox on it. And that's not it's not in 4K. It is a HD splitter. And so I have to actually go now and try to manually, if I want to play the Xbox Series X games in 4K, I have to unplug my PlayStation 5 and plug the Xbox. It's kind of a mess. And I think that is
you could buy a 4K HDMI splitter for more than the television.
Exactly. And so I think, folks, I think real estate is an issue with the streaming boxes, unless there's a way where you can sort of link a few together.
Also, well, let's I guess we have to be a little honest here. Like, the person that wants this streaming device, are they the person that has all of that stuff? Do they have the PlayStation 5 blocking things up, as well as like who is like, in order to figure out what SKU they should make, you also have to decide like who are they making this for, really? Mm-hmm. It's not anyone on this. It's not anyone on this fucking podcast.
No,
I mean, me and you, Dally, will probably get it just because it's the new toy.
To be honest, I'd buy it for. I have multiple TVs in my home. I have a TV here in my office, which doesn't have any game consoles hooked up to it. I have a Roku hooked up to it, and we have a TV up at my parents' house. They have a couple TVs over there. Definitely no game consoles, but if I could give them one of these sticks, and they plug it in, and that's for the kids when the kids go over. Suddenly, it's a pretty nice value. But it's not for me. It's not going to replace my Xbox. But
unless it also has like Steam Link for Xbox built into it or some bullshit too, would be nice. But
they're probably, I wouldn't be surprised, and we'll kind of move on from the subject after this. I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking at their content partners and saying we need to build an OS specifically for this, or a version of the Xbox OS, not just a streaming one, because we need to make this thing more than just games to make it worthwhile. You need the Netflix on there. You need to have Hulu on there. You need to get those working well. Otherwise you can do it with an app. And,
Well,
and
I
that's the route
think we
they're
have
heading.
successfully described all of the reasons why this was probably
There you
delayed.
go.
So
Hire us.
Yeah.
Hire us. Again.
Gee, I wonder why they're not releasing it right now.
Yeah, exactly. However, back to we'll get to the E3 2022 stuff really in a little bit here, because I do want to do some predictions for some of the E3 stuff, because God, we're almost there. We literally are. It's not E3, but there's enough stuff happening. But before then, I want to get into a couple of things that we've been playing. And I know we're sort of working through a few things. JJ, I'm gonna let me get through mine first, because Playland's laughing. Some of the other folks laughing. Let me get through mine first because it's pretty quick, and then I want to do a little bit more focus on what you've been playing, and then I also want to find out what Taylor's been playing. So you know what? Let's go with Taylor first, then we'll do me, then we'll kind of close on you, and then we'll go into our E3 predictions. So Taylor, what have you been playing, my friend?
It was another office week for me. So it was Steam Deck in the after hours when I got home, and I picked up. I was in a crossroads, couldn't decide what I wanted to play. So I was going on the Steam Deck, just scrolling through games that I already owned, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I settled on nobody's heard of it, brand new, but nobody's heard of it, The Witness.
What's this, The Witness?
So for whatever reason,
is this a detective game?
Yeah. For whatever reason, I just decided to settle on a puzzle game. It seemed like it was kind of good for Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Easy going and stuff like that. And I literally dropped it right in the middle of playing it. So picked it back up and just been
like you dropped it, or you
you dropped playing
the Steam Deck.
I dropped playing The Witness sometime in it came out in January of 2016. So I dropped it sometime in 2016. I'm assuming.
Sure. Yeah.
I definitely didn't finish it, that's for sure. So I just kind of hopped back into it and have been pushing through it, and then it's been it's the other. I mean, we didn't talk about it, but I will now because it made me think of it. The SteamOS 3.2 came out today for Steam Deck, which introduced a variable refresh option for the refresh rate of the screen. And believe it or not, The Witness pushes the Steam Deck quite a bit. Even on all low settings, 1200 by 800 on the resolution, you look at certain water reflection moments and it dips frame rate right below 60.
Wow.
Wow. But on medium or even sometimes high, it'll never dip below 40. So it was perfect scenario for turning on, setting the cap in the FPS at 40, setting the screen resolution, or setting the screen refresh rate to 40 so that they're directly in sync, and that works really nice. Looks really good. And then the new fan curve on the Steam Deck is really nice. Crazy how much quieter it is. It's insane. So I'm one of the folks with the noisier fan, and it's a big difference. So, but yeah, I've just been playing. Let's see, anything else in my recent Steam list? I popped into No Man's Sky because they released another expansion.
Oh, they're amazing!
It's unbelievable. It's unreal. I don't understand how it's literally possible.
You and Zach were playing. I was actually watching a little bit of that.
Oh, did you pop in?
I popped in. I was quiet as I was using.
Oh my god! I did not even hear you join.
Sneaky.
I mean, No Man's Sky, still No Man's Sky. It's crazy so how easy it is to make that game work at any time. That also runs great on Steam Deck, 40 FPS or 60 FPS. You can achieve both, depending on what settings you use.
I'm very curious I'm going to be picking up that game on Switch. I'm very curious to see what it looks like at 12 FPS. at 12 FPS.
Yeah. I can't
It's
wait. I can't wait for your review.
what's gonna be nuts is that we're gonna get a new Switch model at some point, probably in the next 8 months, maybe 12 months.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a new Switch model. It's going to have No Man's Sky on it. It's gonna probably cost about $400, which is the cost of the Steam Deck, and and it's literally not even going to be able to touch, I don't think, the performance that the Steam Deck is getting for games like that right now. So but anyway, that's going to be funny to me. I will enjoy laughing about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, No Man's Sky is still good. It's doing this kind of like roguelike mode, which just basically, so they do seasonal stuff, which they call expeditions. So what it is that if you die, that you're like, it's already about kind of being stuck in a time loop or being stuck in a existential loop.
Sure.
But now you're stuck in a life and death loop on top of it, where, like, you keep certain progressions that you achieve as you stay alive, those carry over, but like your inventory and stuff like that gets wiped every time you die.
Sure.
And then you get an item and stuff, but like they start you on a dog shit planet right off the bat. It's a superheated planet. Storms come in. One of the easiest way to avoid like really, really nasty planets is just to dig a big hole using the terrain manipulator. That's broken off the bat. So you get dropped in the planet, and if a heat storm is coming and you don't have time to mine the resources to fix your terrain manipulator, or if you're not near a cave, you will just die, like straight up. Almost every single animal on the planet is hostile. There's sentinels everywhere. It's Zach and I were playing. We were just minding our own business, and we were talking about something, and then literally one of the hostile creatures from the planet walks up and basically kills us in about 4 seconds. And we had been playing for like two and a half hours. So I don't know how much I want to do that, like a lot. But it is an interesting one. And it's just very neat to see how Hello Games figures out a new way to play their own game every few months. But yeah, so I talk about No Man's Sky like every single time we bring it up, because it's always just such a interesting and unique experience.
It's amazing to me what Hello Games did with that game, is because it's amazing to me because it's like they're like working on a bunch of different games, and they think, well, what if we also they could say, what if we made a roguelike, or what if we made a PvP space game? No, they're literally just putting it all in No Man's Sky. One day they're gonna say, what if we made a sports car racing game? Yeah. It's gonna be in No Man's Sky.
The next Joe Danger is gonna be in
there you go. Sky. Yeah, the next Joe. Oh, love it. Excellent. Very cool. Very cool. I have been playing. I'm gonna share the video here.
Ooh.
The hot new game from 2017, Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
We both went back in time 5 years this past week.
Did.
All right.
So this game is obviously the sequel's coming out in July. And I figured, to get ready for it, because Xenoblade 3 is going to tie into this somehow a little bit, whatever.
Well, in the same way that Chronicles 1 and Chronicles 2 had that little link to each other.
Because the name, it's basically the name, and it's an RPG. But I figured, let me get into this.
No, the Chronicles 1 and Chronicles. You didn't beat Chronicles 2 yet, so you don't know.
No, I haven't. I don't know. No.
Did you beat Chronicles 1?
Oh yeah, yes. On a couple platforms, I've beaten it on a couple platforms. Sure, I haven't beaten on the Switch. I've beaten it on the Wii and the 3DS. Anyway, so it's Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is not a great looking, like, this is really making it look really good, but it has aged quite a bit over over the years because Fire Emblem, I think, came out the year after that in 2018 or 2019. Maybe Fire Emblem was 2019. Fire Emblem looked freaking amazing. That game looked, compared to this, Fire Emblem is a beautiful game. So, but I am enjoying it because there's some really fun. I mean, it's again, it's a traditional sort of JRPG, action JRPG type of thing. But I am digging it. I like the changes they made over the first game where they've added sort of the much better side quest system, much better characters in terms of how they sort of relate to each other. The storytelling is better. I'm maybe about 14, 15 hours into the game, which means I still have about 100 more to go before I get anywhere remotely far enough to figure out what the story is. But I'm digging it. I really do like I like the Xenoblade games. And I like the series, and I'm all in. It's, if you have a Switch and if you like JRPGs, there's absolutely no reason to get not to get Xenoblade. And I have the Torna Initiative, whatever that's called, separately.
I did not play the Torna expansion, which
and that's like 15 to 20 hours as well, I guess.
So
but I'll probably have to try that too once I finish this game. But I'm gonna be all hand. There's not a ton releasing between now and then. I know Mario Strikers is coming out in a couple weeks here. And then there's a Fire Emblem like fighting, or whatever, the Muso game, but I'm not gonna be picking that up. But well,
nope.
I will pick that up eventually. I'll pick that up, but not anytime soon.
I'll let Corey play that one.
I'll let Corey play that first. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2, it's good. It's still good. It's still a great, fun game. If you like JRPGs, it's right there. I mean, it's not going to blow your mind, but I think there are some really cool things they did.
It's not a waste of your time. At least it's an enjoyable experience, and if you especially if you are a JRPG fan, then you're gonna be like, oh yeah, this is good.
Yep, and that's basically it's all I've been playing. Other than that's work. But JJ has been playing a review game, so I'm going to share. JJ, what have you been playing?
Kaiju Wars. Back in the day on the NES, there was a Godzilla game, Godzilla 2. That was a real-time strategy game based around Godzilla, and that's kind of what this game is in its own little way.
I love that game, by the way. Yeah,
Godzilla 2 is a really good game. Yeah. Spoilers, they kind of recreate levels from that game in this game after you beat the game.
Cool.
This game is it's got this, you'll notice the colors are all based off of like if you look at old like 50s and 60s kaiju movie posters.
I was gonna say it's like kind of like it's got all the chroma aesthetic of those posters.
Those posters, and that's definitely what
the propaganda posters, baby. Love it.
Yeah. It's a comedy game. Don't get me wrong on this, but it does a really good job of kind of making an RTS more resource building and maintaining than anything. Like, it's a management game. Your goal is to not beat these monsters.
Oh, really?
They're in. You can't kill them. Your goal is to stop them, slow them down. There's different goals and different levels. One of the more common ones is there's a lab that you need to protect, and while they're developing the anti-kaiju serum, and there's some clandestine operations going on in the background, and there's there's a UFO, there's like an aliens subplot that's playing out here. And there's like 4 different monsters that can attack, and they all have their own different abilities. Everything is like expendable. When you put tanks in front of these monsters, it is literally just to be in the way. They attack, and then they're destroyed, and they're cheap to rebuild. So you rebuild them. They destroy a base, you rebuild the base, and you're just trying to slow them down. They're stupid as hell too. They like you know where they're going. You can click on the monster and it shows you where it's going. It always goes to the closest building first. If they're the same distance away from two buildings, it will just randomly pick one. And you have different. There's a card game aspect in it a little bit where you have cards that cause different effects.
I like that the gorilla is winding up to hit.
Yeah. And these are all like cutscenes. Like when a monster attacks, like these are the videos that pop up, and it shows them entering the play field and everything. So if you're just trying to stop them, like if they step on your fighter jets, it does damage to them. And you know, the tanks slow them down, and the buildings, like, you know, you want to protect certain buildings because you are sort of the mayor of everything. So like you're getting the taxes from some of the buildings that are in there, and those taxes go towards making military bases and stuff. There's some, and they actually do some interesting stuff once in a while. There's one time where I did not have access to like military base. So the goal is to just sort of get the monster in sort of a pattern to like just buy time. You're just trying to buy time with what you have at your disposal. And like, and then you have like some of them where you have to protect the laboratory. So in order to protect the laboratory, there are military security bases, and you have these locks on your HUD. And when all the locks are gone, it shows it. The monster will now know where the laboratory is, and just start going to the laboratory and sort of ignoring the closest building rule. And it breaks those locks by destroying these military bases. And every stage has its own like you know, things that you can do to like get medals. Defeat, like win in like 11 turns, or win in 4 minutes or whatever, to get more medals and stuff. And it's really campy. You can see it has FMV in it. Like they're these really cheesy like news programs and stuff, like please you know, stay indoors unless, you know, the building is falling down around you, then find the closest safe building to enter. You know, it's like they're deadpanning some of this comedy that's going on, but as an RTS goes, they're really having a lot of fun with it, and they're doing something kind of different with it without just making it Advance Wars where you're fighting a giant enemy. It really is you sacrificing as much of your resources as possible to just slow this monster down. And it has PvP. It has a rather extensive level creator where you can share the levels online too. And like a mode where you can play as the kaiju and against another human opponent and everything. And each monster has their own like abilities, and they can evolve midway. Like if you drive them back, they'll disappear for a few turns, and then they'll come back with like a new ability. And so
interesting.
Yeah, the card-based stuff kind of randomizes it a little bit, so it's really hard to set up a strategy that like stays successful throughout some of these matches. Later on the game, the matches.
How long do the matches usually take? Like
not very long, but just a few minutes if you're like. But the deeper into the game you get, the more drawn out they get, because there's more going on. There's more stuff that you have to pay attention to. There's one where like they're driving around in like a radar truck that you have to sort of just keep the monster like unaware of and things. And sometimes they'll be like, you'll be fighting against a particular kaiju, you'll drop back, and when it comes out, it will be one of the other kaijus, like which can disrupt everything you've been working for, because like one of them can burrow underground, one of them flies, one of them is just kind of the generic, you know, like the Godzilla one's just sort of the generic one, and like the King Kong one clearly just is it like has like a jungle advantage and things like that. So it's really cool. It looks beautiful. Soundtrack is fantastic. The aesthetic of everything in it is extremely my thing. and you know, it performs really well because there's not much to it. It's like, you know, 20 megabytes. You know, it's not a big game. It runs like an NES game.
Excellent.
Just yeah, it's a beautiful game. It plays really well. It's like the campaign's like 15 hours. And it's $20.
Perfect length.
And
Perfect length.
Yeah, 15 hours, $20. If you want to play an RTS game that's just a little different, I highly recommend it. And if you're a fan of kaiju movies, especially like 60s, 50s, 60s era kaiju movies, like this is definitely something to look into. This is a kind of game that I think even like if Zach were here, he would probably be be kind of gushing about a lot.
Yeah,
of
he'd
stuff that's going on.
He'd be having something to say for sure.
Yeah. But I love this game. I never would have known about it if you hadn't offered me the key, and I'm glad. This is definitely my kind of thing. I love RTS games. And
the key to the Kaiju City as the mayor, and that would be
I am the mayor of Kaiju. And you get to create your own mayor name, so it's
the mayor of Kaiju City. Love it. There you go, Kaiju Wars, baby.
Kaiju Wars, baby. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the final bit this week, and that is E3 predictions. E3 2022 is dead. There is no E3, obviously, but there's a bunch of events. We already mentioned the Gundam Wars one. We mentioned Star Wars Celebration. There's actually a Saga thing next week, which might announce some stuff. There's Warhammer Skulls. Didn't even realize that was happening, but I guess that's a whole bunch of stuff. Sony State of Play. Limited Run Game 3, because there's no E3, so LRG3.
Yeah, LRG3. Yeah.
And then
those are actually really fun.
Yeah, they are.
They put a lot of production into LRG3.
They do. Apart from the Sony one, the really, the big stuff starts to pour in the week after that. You have Summer Game Fest, the Netflix Geek Week.
That Netflix one's going to be wild, isn't it? That's going to be some weird shit.
It's going to be not much of the things that we particularly care about.
I just did a Netflix survey. I hope I can say that. I don't know if I can. I think a bunch of folks got this.
You almost certainly can't, but
you almost anyways, moving on. Then you have that same day the Tribeca GameSpot. So this is Keeley. Keeley is in all three of these things. He's the Game Fest, Geek Week, Tribeca. And then you have the Guerrilla Collective that Saturday, Wholesome Direct, Future Game Show, PC Game Show, Xbox Showcase. I've heard rumblings of something else taking place on June 12th later on in the evening. And then I've heard something taking place June 14th, potentially, which would that supposedly there's something Nintendo coming on June 14th. Is there?
They do love their Tuesday in the middle of the day.
True, that is true. Mostly because it's right after Strikers launches. I think Strikers launches on June 10th, and so
oh god, that's right. There's a Strikers
or whatever that Friday is. Yeah, so it's the 10th. That's 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. So this would be the Tuesday after that. So they are going to start promoting. They're going to go through all the stuff that they have coming up, and then you got all the way into August. THQ's got their thing. QuakeCon, Gamescom opening night live, Future Games Show, Gamescom, and then there's some of the other stuff. They're supposedly a first party State of Play later summer. That's what Grub was kind of leading into. I would think that could be happening for sure if God of War is the only thing they're going to be talking about for this year. That may happen. There's a Facebook VR, or the Meta, I should say, showcase that's in the works that usually happens around this time of year as well. Heard rumblings that Ubisoft might do their thing again this year because they did say that there's stuff coming. Skull and Bones is this year, Avatar is this year, and Mario and Rabbids is this year.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 is this year.
Supposedly, yeah. Konami, they had one last year that they delayed. or they canceled, so they may be pushing it to this year.
With the way
we'll see.
shit's been playing out with Konami, if Konami has one, there's a potential for that being a very big fucking
Yes.
show.
Yeah. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 reveal. The full reveal is sometime in June, right? I forget when it was.
Yeah.
I think this is sometime in June. June 8th is like the rumor. And then the Final Fantasy stuff. Gearbox is supposedly having another showcase. Again, these are things that we've heard that are starting to bubble around. Whether they go through, we don't know. We're kind of copying some of the stuff from the last few years,
and
seems to fall in line the right time.
And PAX in September, where all the weird indie shit will start popping,
baby. But it's hard to do just an E3 prediction anymore because it's the whole summer. It's the summer of gaming fest of a mess. But I figured let's make some predictions for this summer, June, July, August, and see if what we can kind of come up with, because it's a whole summer full of gaming things. But we're calling it E3 predictions, but it's really the full summer of gaming predictions. So I will say, as we've done in the past, we each kind of choose 3 things. We go one by one. I'll go, or let's say JJ goes first, then I'll go, then Taylor, and then JJ again. Taylor. So 3 things that we think are definitely going to happen, and then we just lob one thing out there that we think is going to, potentially just be off the wall idea type of thing. So I can go first. Taylor, do you want to go first? JJ, who wants to go first? If anyone has something, I'm going to write these down and see how close we get. And we'll try to get Zach next week if we can. And if you're viewing or listening, if you're live, please feel free in the comments to let us know what you think might be happening. So
start us off, Dally.
Yes. There you go. Yes. So I'm going to start you guys off with, I think we're going to get Final Fantasy VII 2.
I hope
showcase.
so. I really hope so.
Yeah. I think that is something that has been definitely in the works. And again, they kind of alluded to it. So it's time. When that game is going to arrive, maybe in a couple years. I don't think it's definitely not this year. I think next year is Final Fantasy 16 because Forspoken is this year. Is their big October game for Square. So if anything, it would be tail end of 2023 so that they can get Final Fantasy 16 out this year. But it's probably likely to me 2024. They're not going to put a date on it. They'll just show a video. Who wants to go next?
I came completely unprepared for E3.
Yeah, same.
Even though I was posting about it in the podcast.
Yeah.
I know. It's just that
listen,
you think about
there
it,
was
and it's like
so little time.
I think we will definitely see Silent Hill this
okay.
E3 summer. I think we'll finally get Silent Hill for sure.
I like that.
Whatever that may be, whether it be the long rumored they're actually letting Kojima do Silent Hills, or it's just a remake, or it's some sort of unrelated project that's something non-pachinko related. I think we'll definitely see Silent Hill. They've been really pushing Silent Hill lately too. So,
I'm gonna since I'm going next anyway, I'm taking it over. I think that we're definitely gonna hear about whatever is next coming from Kojima specifically. Whether it is Silent Hill or something else entirely, we're gonna hear about Kojima's next thing. Whether that happens to be a movie project or a game project, it'll be in the summer game mess.
Yeah,
okay.
I think you will get both. I think you will get whatever
I think so
Kojima's movie situation is, because that's the worst kept secret in the fucking industry is Kojima pivoting into movies and whatever his next. And it's not going to be Death Stranding 2. They're not going to talk about that. Like, we know that's the thing, and it's not going to be that. It's going to be the other thing.
Not 1 but 2 games. I mean, Death Stranding 2
is
probably being worked on, but yeah.
I think if it's going to be 2, they're just going to put out like a title screen for Death Stranding 2, and that'll be the announcement. But I think I'm more interested in like the actual thing that they're working on, and not the thing that's just entered pre-production.
Sure. I'm going to throw out that I think we will get some sort of Xbox game, first party Xbox game launching this year. I don't think we're in the there's nothing being developed for Xbox mode yet. It may be something a little smaller, but they, last year they had Forza and part of Halo, I guess. I could see them putting something out this year that they're going to hang their head on and say, this is a great, I mean, it's not going to be Forza 7 or whatever, Forza Motorsport, whatever it's going to be called. 8, 10, whatever. It's too early for that. They're still working, they're still working on Horizon stuff. But I feel like, we could get something. Microsoft needs a big game, especially with the Game Pass stuff, the streaming stick stuff, the hardware stuff that we've been kind of hearing about. I was
going to say there was the rumor, and it's not going to be their big thing, but it's the potential to be a thing because there was the Master Chief Collection-esque thing for Gears of War.
I was just about to say, there could be a big old Gears of War collection that's going to be launching this year that Xbox will be. I almost wrote Xbox Game Collection. I just wrote Xbox Game this year. So they're going to have
Game. You heard it here first.
Xbox, you heard it here. But it's first party stuff that I think they're really going to be pushing. Whether it could be very well be a collection, but it's going to be something that they're really pushing this year. And again, you're right. We've heard the rumors that it's a Gears of War style thing potentially. Yeah. But again, Microsoft has a lot of IP that's a lot of games that are still not on Game Pass. And so they could pull from some things in the past and really kind of do some interesting collection or collections or whatever. But I think they're going to have something this year that people are really going to be excited about. And if it is Gears of War, I think there's going to be more. It's more than just the games. I think there's going to be some cool twists to it that's going to make people want to come back, because they did release sort of not a remake, but a reissue of the original Gears of War, right? That was sort of up-res and updated for Xbox One generation from the 360. So I could see them having a big collection that's got some really cool interlocking feature or something that's sort of connected to it. So what about next is JJ, what's your next one?
Oh Jesus. Man, I'm trying to think of something for Nintendo, but man, I don't really
there's an easy one for Nintendo. There's sort of a lot. There's a couple
of easy ones. Nah, they wouldn't announce it right now. I was thinking, do they announce their next weird toy, like the Game & Watch or the minis? But I don't think it would be this summer. I think that's a fall thing, because they usually just give those a couple of weeks.
Sure.
But maybe Microsoft needs to start drumming up some stuff to just to let people know that they are working on games, right? So maybe Perfect Dark's in a state that they could tease Perfect Dark, because the Initiative is still doing nothing, right? Is the Initiative still together? Did they break them up yet? I can't remember if the Initiative.
You make a great point, because they are still working on Perfect Dark, but even though we may not get games from Microsoft that are releasing this year, this is prime time to start showing trailers or stuff from the games that Avowed is out there. You have, the stuff that Obsidian's working on. I mean, could you imagine if they drop? Guess what, guys? We got a new Fallout game from your Fallout Vegas favorites, and that's all they got to do, and people will lose their freaking minds, man.
Listen, because there were the New Vegas rumors very recently. So a new. So
I'm writing down Perfect Dark for you.
Just do that one. That's one of those weird drum up the weirdo fan base kind of thing, where it's to rally the troops to say, see, we have games, and we have the games that you love. We got here comes a rare classic, Perfect Dark for a new generation. Or some bullshit. But
Taylor, what's your next one?
We can do not predictions, right? Things that won't happen as well. We are not going to see Zelda again.
Yeah. Yep.
Breath of the Wild too.
I think it's a good one. Yeah, I think it's a good call.
That's fair. Yeah.
Or if we do, it will be at least 50% recycled footage. I'm going to put that slight disclaimer on there.
Yeah, no, I think it's
looking at Playland. So.
Playland's got some good comments in here. I'll throw those in there in a second. But no, I think it's a good point. I think Nintendo is going to have a very light E3. If anything this year, I could see a few smaller events, kind of like what they did in 2020. God, where they just kind of had a few smaller. Here's one focused on one game or two games type of thing. But my is Nintendo related, is Zelda related. I think at some point this summer they're going to announce finally that Zelda collection of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, which is the easy one for them, and it's not any reissue. It's not like any up-res or a remake or anything. It's literally just here are the Wii U versions of the games.
Right.
Maybe, if anything, just like clean up on the text or like the font.
Yeah, a little bit, but like Wii U's were already upscaled to 1080p.
Yeah,
exactly. There's nothing else for them to do.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, we're at that stage now where everyone can throw out like the Zelda collection and the Metroid collection, and at one point you're gonna get it right. Like at some point, at some E3, you're gonna get that shit right.
And that you know what, this could be the year that they get both. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we get the Metroid collection announced in June, coming August. But it's the motion control versions of those Prime games. A lot of people
kind of like call it
It just needs both.
The name, the new Wii, new Play Control series, or whatever.
Yeah, he's got some good ones coming in from Playland over here. Balloon Fight, The Trip, Urban Champion Rise.
If they made a crazy like high res sort of reimagining of Balloon Fight, I would be so fucking into that.
Yeah.
Like.
An FPS version. JJ, what's your third selection here?
My third selection. I have a really easy one that's going to sound really stupid, but it's going to be a Nintendo one. But I mean, it's safe to assume that like the next Nintendo, like major Nintendo Direct sort of situation is going to just be 100% all Pokemon footage, right? Like we've seen very little of that, and that's what the bulk of that like presentation.
Yeah, but that's when they do Pokemon Directs, right?
Yeah. But like considering, but that's not really my prediction. But I'm just
I'll like scratch that out of there. All right, go ahead.
No, don't do that one. I was like, that was me talking out loud.
Coming up with something,
yeah. I'm gonna say I was trying to think of weird tie-in shit, like because that's the new thing.
Yeah.
But
Pokemon Drink. Kirby Drink.
Yeah. No. There's going to be. I mean, there's already any of that stuff. There is definitely going to be. Okay, I'm gonna go for the long shot one. My third one's gonna be the long shot one.
Got it.
And it will be the announcement, like alongside Street Fighter 6. You are going to you will see for the Hail Mary shot a new Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh wow! Okay, I like that. That's crazy. I like that
crazy
direction.
Long shot. I'm making my third one a Hail Mary just to get like, if I get that one right, I get like 25 points.
There you go. Yeah.
Because there was always a long-standing rumor that they were like on the verge of rebooting Infinite. Like, we can save this game if we just change some things about it around and stuff. But never did. I think especially nowadays, there's so much. The way Disney seems to be sharing their IPs with everyone now, Capcom being able to make another, it may not necessarily be a Marvel versus Capcom. It could very well just be sort of like a Marvel fighting game. I'm just saying Marvel versus Capcom is sort of the catch-all because remember there were Marvel superheroes and the X-Men, Children of the Atom, and X-Men versus Street Fighter and all that stuff. So it's like, but Capcom working on another Marvel like fighting game definitely seems like something that is in Disney's wheelhouse right now. So
okay,
new Marvel based fighting game.
All right, Taylor, what's yours? What's your third one?
Go for a Hail Mary, Taylor. Fortune favors the bold, Taylor.
To quote crypto commercials, I've got a Hail Mary after this one, but that's fine.
No, I mean I'll do one more guess.
Yeah.
My guess is that we are going to see, if not stills, and maybe this should be my Hail Mary, but we'll see. With having Starfield be punted, we're going to see something for Elder Scrolls 6.
Okay.
In the showcase.
It'll be one of those. It'll be one of those fun trailers that like EA always likes to put out, where it's just a bunch of like people at drafting tables drawing Elder Scrolls and like
it's gonna be
wireframe characters and stuff.
We're gonna get something in content. I think a trailer might be a little bit too much. I think it's gonna be more teaser-esque, like how Starfield was when they announced that one back in what seems like 18 years ago.
There's definitely going to be a moment where they're going to be like, there'll be a Bethesda Xbox moment where it just has like a bunch of the people at the studio like showing off some behind the scenes of all of the games they're currently working on, praising how this collaboration and partnership with Microsoft has really done the best for the industry. The studio has never been a more creative place than it has been now.
Love it.
Hey, you already had your chance to do predictions, JJ.
Yeah, JJ.
All right, Dally, what's your Hail Mary?
My Hail Mary, and I kind of bring this up every year in some capacity, and I was trying to think of like Game Pass stuff and Game Pass on the Switch, but I actually don't think the Switch can handle it. Here's what I think could happen. I say Game Pass as in Microsoft, Switch as in Nintendo. I think we may actually see something Nintendo related on Microsoft's Game Pass service in terms of might just be Mario, like the original Super Mario Brothers. It might just be Mario 35 or something. It could be something really simple, but I see Nintendo saying, listen, here's the olive branch for you gave us Banjo and Kazooie for Smash Brothers. You gave us Minecraft for Smash Brothers. We're going to give you guys, Dr. Luigi for Game Pass. There'll be my Hail Mary is something Nintendo related on Game Pass.
No, you know what actually, you may not be too far removed because I think there is an obvious answer to that. If you want Nintendo and Microsoft to do that kind of thing for Games Pass, GoldenEye.
Yeah,
like
maybe
something GoldenEye, like working together, like everyone finally working together to get GoldenEye. Like Nintendo gets the N64 version, Microsoft gets that weird 360 version. It's,
there you go.
There'll be like that. Like for your Hail Mary, there is like an actual path. That's
definitely like a pipe dream. Yeah. I think. I mean. The unthinkable was getting Mario on another device, and we got it on iOS. And Mario Run was okay, whatever. I know it's a different enough platform, but I do think we could get something on Xbox again, whether it's just an older version of Super Mario Brothers or something. I think there could be something out there. That's my Hail Mary.
It was always super disappointing in like the Rare Replay collection, where there were just a handful of games missing from the Rare Replay collection simply because of branding with like Nintendo or whatever. Like there was no way of getting them on there, and that's a good way of filling in the gaps.
Maybe it's Diddy Kong Racing. Diddy Kong Racing is going to be on there. JJ, do you have another Hail Mary that you want to throw out there, or
Can I just say GoldenEye? Can I just say
GoldenEye? JJ says GoldenEye.
If you're gonna make me do a Hail Mary, I'll say GoldenEye.
And then Taylor, what's your Hail Mary?
So my Hail Mary, JJ's giving me more inspiration.
I like it.
And they're Capcom realizing that they've been keeping fans waiting for too long are going to finally announce the Darkstalkers sequel that they teased 5 years ago. Or 1 million years ago, where they said Darkstalkers will return, and then it didn't.
and that collection is coming out.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. That's true. It is coming out.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good. Yours is definitely more realistic than mine. That's for damn.
Yeah, but you know what? It still feels like a big old Hail Mary, though.
Yeah, it really does.
Say
it always
does.
Does.
One thing that's not a Hail Mary that I'll say is that I'll scrub my GoldenEye one. Just scrub it from the list.
All right.
And I will say we'll finally see the James Bond game. It's at probably games. I would assume Summer Game Fest or whatever, but I think it's about time. Hitman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a Hitman. Okay, good. There we go. The Summer Games Fest thing really could be interesting from the standpoint of what could end up being shown there, because
because of the industry consolidation has sort of changed what to expect.
Yeah. It's sort of an overall gaming keynote as opposed to an Xbox keynote or a Sony or a Nintendo keynote. And again, Nintendo hasn't announced anything yet. Sony hasn't announced a big thing yet. We could even. I wouldn't be surprised if we get God of War Ragnarok, like a teaser trailer at a further teaser trailer at Game Fest. With a date on it, that God of War coming October 28th or something crazy like that, and then have the actual Sony State of Play dedicated to it in August, because as long as you get the name out there that this is in the works, people will be happy. But yeah, the industry consolidation. There's a lot of game projects out there. There's rumors of the RE4 remake. There's there's so many things that could happen, but we don't know. And I kind of like not knowing. We didn't know Guardians of the Galaxy was a thing until we saw it last year at Square Enix's event. We were pissed off that they spent so much time on it. And guess what? It was our game of the year.
They just needed. I mean, I hope that they just don't make that mistake again in how they show it off.
Yeah. Whatever it is they show off. Yep.
Whatever it is that they show off. Just I hope they don't make the same Guardians of the Galaxy mistake.
If you guys had, we've already listed some of Playland stuff. He was throwing a bunch of things out there. Feel free to listen in the Discord if there's any predictions you guys have. Maybe I'll try to come up with some way to award a prize. See if that's a possibility.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I make my predictions. So please do.
There you go. I got your predictions here. I forget who it was that won last year. But
Playland does say his real guess is Castlevania.
A new Castlevania. God, that would be great. That would be great. It's time.
You need to cash in on the fact that you made a bunch of new Castlevania fans with the anime.
Sure.
I have coworkers that have never played a video game that fell in love with that Castlevania anime. Like
Arcane.
Cash in. Yeah.
Arcane did that for League of Legends, right? All of a sudden, League of Legends is a massive IP. But good stuff. Great show tonight. Lots of fun. We got it in the hour and a half that I was trying to get us in under. It's not quite 10:30, but we're there. I got plenty to do tonight. Gents, it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun. At attention, I'm going to get some tortilla chips, and I'm going to get to work on prepping for these gigs that I have this weekend. You can find us sidequesting.com. You can find us individually at _double_J, at Taylor Bliss, at Dolly Demofsky, at SideQuesting. I mentioned everything. SideQuesting TV on Twitch, SideQuesting on YouTube. With that said, we'll see you all in the next episode of The Side Quest. Bye-bye.